Hey, heathens! This is a response that to a comment that I got on my MiniHeathen wanted to talk about the Garden of Eden video from Dr. H 2005. Of course, I'm talking with my son about the Garden of Eden story, and I mentioned this snake and all this other stuff, and he is quick to respond with telling me that it says serpent, not snake, which irritated me a little bit because, what, you don't do that when you're talking to kids? To show you what I'm talking about, I've got here the Bible story. Nice little children's book. This is published by Maxwell, Arthur S. Maxwell. The Bible story. This is volume number 1. And in here, and you find these things all over the place. People stick them in there for kids to read, I guess. Down here in the South, anyway. And in here it tells us that the Bible tells us, this is on page 63 and 64, the Bible tells us that it was the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray, and there's a little asterisk, and it points us to Revelations 12:9. We'll come back to that. Doc agrees. Revelations 12:9. And his name had originally been Lucifer the light bearer, blah, 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 blah. Come on down to the middle of the page. It says, the snake says. Did God really say you must not eat of any tree of the garden? Which they then go to add a whole bunch of details into this story that weren't there to begin with. Okay, it's not in the Bible, but they embellish. I mean, they take this whole book here is bigger than all of Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and that's what it's covering. But they go into all kinds of detail that's not in there. But here's the important part. Not only does it say snake. See if I can get image there. Oh, look, there he is. Look, it's a freaking snake. All right. So there's one book that's showing us that. But hey, maybe Mr. Maxwell just wasn't up on his biblical knowledge and didn't have in there that it was a serpent that's supposed to have legs of some sort, and God took them away. Interesting little side note. Snakes do have vestigial legs because they evolved to not basically need them, but there are these little bitty things left that where there used to be legs in their development, and now they're useless and gone away. So hey, there's a spot of evolution that Christians can use to say that, see, the Bible story is true. They took away his legs, but that's not it. All right, so here's another one: the Children's Daily Devotional Bible. Okay, look, another freaking snake. So, before you go jumping on me, Doc, about the fact that I told my son about it was a snake in the Bible, go take your own books that are being published everywhere and fed to kids, telling them that it's a snake also. Next, let's get to the whole, was the snake Satan issue? Okay, let's go to another book. Here's the Bible. And here is, right here at the very beginning, just a few pages in, the whole Garden of Eden story. All the way back to the back here, we got to go to Revelations. All the way to the back, as a matter of fact. All the way to Revelations 12:9, which is where the doc points us to, is where the other book pointed us to, that says that and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth. His angels were cast out with him. All right. Now, apart from the whole who the hell believes Revelations anyway part of this argument, and he just replied back on that one. I mentioned to him that the Catholic Church is come to the conclusion that perhaps they shouldn't have included Revelations because maybe it wasn't as divine as they thought it was. And he, of course, replies, well, Catholics aren't Christians. Tell that to a Catholic. They'll disagree with you. Anyway, man, my TV just got really loud. So here's this line in Revelations. Now, Revelations wasn't written until right around the turn, the end of the first century, CE. It wasn't written until then, and it is believed to be written by a guy by the name. It says his name is John. And it's believed to be written by a guy who was exiled as a prisoner and sent to this island, basically sent into solitary confinement. Now, anybody ever seen that movie with Tom Hanks where he's stranded on the island by himself. What happens to him? Goes a little nuts, doesn't he? Doesn't Revelations read like the ramblings of a madman? I think so too. By the way, Revelations was referring to the Roman Empire when it talked about the whole Antichrist. It wasn't Saddam Hussein. It's not George Bush, although you can make an argument for it, or Gaddafi, or Castro, or anybody else that's been appointed to. He was talking about Caesar. The number of the beast, 666, in Hebrew, the letters and numbers have correspondence between them. And when you add them up, the 666 value is the value of Caesar's name. So that's who he was talking about. His number would be 666. Just a little tidbit there. So Revelation is full of crap because it's clearly useless. But let's say that it's not. Let's say that it is true. Revelation is not written until around 100 CE, give or take. And there's Genesis that was supposedly around for thousands of years before that. It took God several thousand years to tell everybody that the snake was Satan. Not to mention the fact that that one single verse is so obscure, it doesn't really mean that entirely. But I'm sure by the time Revelations had been written, with everything else going on, that it had been accepted that Satan was the snake, and so that's why John wrote that. Now, that's my bit on it. So, if that's all you got to prove that this snake, and I continue to say snake because when they said serpent, they meant freaking snake. But so do you, and that's why you tell children this. But if that's all you got to prove that this snake was supposed to be Satan, you create a whole lot more problems than anything else. But apart from that, why are you teaching children that it's a snake and then coming around and telling me, oh no, it was a serpent? Is it kind of like Santa Claus? Let them believe it until they don't anymore, then tell them the truth, or in this particular case, give them a new lie. So before you jump on me, Doc, about saying that it was a snake to my kid, you need to go fix all of your little Christian books.